Hey guys, my name's Ed and welcome to lesson 3 in my How to Program in PHP web series. Today we're going to learn how to do arrays in PHP. If you haven't, check out my previous videos as I laid out a lot of the groundwork for PHP and a lot of the basics. So that's about it. Let's get started. Okay guys, so today we're learning how to do arrays in PHP. So if you're new to programming or PHP, an array is basically, just think of it as a variable that can hold multiple values within it. So, to demonstrate this, I'm going to make a variable called video games. And with an equal sign, and then I'll call the array function in PHP. And that's it. That's how to declare a basic array. And now to actually put items into this array, we could do that as such. My first video game, I will make Overwatch. And now my next variable within this array, I want to make Red Dead Redemption 2. And my last one, I'll make Counter-Strike. So there it is. That's how to declare an array in PHP and assign values to it. And they're all separated by commas. Similar to everything else with PHP, you can also assign like numeric values, integers, floats, etc. For this, we're sticking the strings, just basic text information. And now to demonstrate how this works, I'm going to use the var dump function, which we talked about in lesson 1. And when I do that, I can get a bird's eye view of my array here. So var dump tells me that my video games variable is an array with 3 values in it. And the first one at index 0 is Overwatch. The next one is Red Dead. And the last one's Counter-Strike. And notice, no matter what programming language you ever learn, always remember that your first value starts at 0, not at 1. Okay, so how we actually work with and access these is we call the index of that item. So Overwatch is our first item in this array, and in which case it is at index 0. So to access or display that, I'll just do echo video games and 0. And save. And on the screen, you'll see Overwatch. Now, again, a little programming trick in Sublime Text or Atom. You can hit Control-Shift-D and duplicate a line. Anyway, in this one, I'm going to hit change to 1. And that means I'm accessing our second index item, which is Red Dead Redemption 2. So if I do that, we'll see Red Dead Redemption 2 printed on the screen. Put a break tag just to demonstrate this easier. And of course, last but not least, if I do index number 3, which is 2, there's Counter-Strike. So there's all the video games in my array. Alright, now, so we have our video games array here. Let's say I want to add another video game to this array. How can I do that? Well, it's quite simple. The first way you could do it is to use the function in PHP called array push. It's a predefined function and it looks like this, array underscore push. The first parameter is going to be the array that you want to add a value to, in which case that's video games. And now let's say I want to add another video game to this, and we'll make that Halo 2. And so we do that, and get actually the var dump video games and save. And as we can see, Halo 2 is now part of that array. And I can access it just like the others. Halo games. Now this one is on it's a new item, so it's on the 3rd index. Array push puts the item that you add to that array onto the end of that array. So that'll be accessible on the 3rd index. And there it is, Halo 2. And similar to how you declare your array to start with, you could put commas here and assign as many things as you want, values. So I'll put a couple more games. What else do I play these days? Kerbal Space Program. That's one of my favorites. And I go index 4. And there it is. Kerbal Space Program is now part of my array here. Put a break tag. So there it is. So that's how you add items to an array that's already existing. Another way you could do this, which is easier yet, is you can use a set of square brackets to assign a new value to an array. So after all this, let's say I want to add another game. What's another video game I play? Video games. To do this, I'm just creating a set of square brackets like this. So that's it. And I hit enter with the equal sign. And my next video game will be GTA. Now if I print that, video games 5. I will see my GTA there. Should put a break after all these. Okay, there we go. So it's formatted nicer. So instead of having to use array push, you can also just add values like this. And what's beautiful about PHP versus other languages is that it's a lot easier to work with arrays. Normally, you either have to make a new array or use a list of objects in other languages. In PHP, you could just constantly add and remove items from an array as you see fit. Okay, the next slightly more advanced concept I want to talk about is removing items from an array. So not something you'll use all the time, but it's an important kind of basic to arrays. And to do that, I'm going to erase all these echo statements here. Okay. And so now we just have a basic array here with our video games in here. So, let's say I want to remove Overwatch from here. There's a couple ways to do that. One method is to use the function called array splice. And it looks like this, array underscore splice. You pass the name of the array to the first parameter. And then the next parameter is going to be the starting index of where the item is. So for Overwatch, it's our first item in the array, which is at index 0. Because remember, arrays don't start on 1 but 0. So we'll put 0. And the next parameter is going to be the length of how much you want to remove from that array. So in this case, I am going to just put 1. Because I want this to go from 0 and stop at 1, which is where Red Dead Redemption 2 is. Now, if I display that, we should see that it removes Overwatch from the array. And there it is. Also notice when I did that, the index is also all shifted. So now Red Dead Redemption is at 0, Counter-Strike's number 2, and etc. So when I do that, PHP changes all the index of those variables. So, let's say I wanted to remove Counter-Strike from here. Well, in that case, I would do this. I would change my starting index from, instead of 0, I would change it to 1 and number 2. And because we're just removing one game, we're going to put one extra index up from there. And save. And that should remove Counter-Strike. And there it is. So now we have Overwatch, Red Dead, and GTA. And wait a minute, I made a mistake here. Yeah, again, so that second variable gets confusing. This is the length of how far you want to go. So that was a mistake. I told it to go 3 steps within that array splice. So if I just want to remove that one variable, then I can leave this at 1. So there it is. And again, similar to before, it shifted all the values in there. So if I make mistakes, I like to show them. But one point to make here is the array splice function is kind of confusing. But it does its purpose. And now, let's say I wanted to replace Counter-Strike with another array. I wanted to put something else in place of there. Well, you can actually pass a fourth argument into this. So I'll make a new array called extra games equals array. And let's put in here Tetris and Super Mario. And I'm going to pass this into this fourth parameter here called extra games. Now if we refresh, there it is. So we will see that by passing that parameter there, we replaced our Counter-Strike variable with these extra games here. So that's a way that you can, an advanced way you can manipulate arrays by accessing a certain spot from within there and assigning new values in there. Now, the final way we could do this, which is a little easier if you just want to remove one item, is to use the unset function. And all that is the keyword unset. And by the way, unset works with a lot of things like cookies and sessions, which we'll get into later. So try to remember this function. But anyway, let's say I want to remove Halo 2 from here. That's at index number 4. So I'm going to do unset. I'm going to type video games. And then in here, I'm going to put the index of the item I want to remove. In this case, that's number 4. And save. And if I refresh, it should disappear. And there it goes. So there's your basics of how to replace elements from within an array, as well as swap them out, and then a slightly easier concept of using the unset function. And while I'm here, I have the PHP documentation open. There is a bajillion functions in here for arrays. So you probably never memorize all these, but nonetheless, they're very important. They all do different things and access and manipulate arrays in different ways. But for now, a good one to remember is the array splice, and just what we did now with assigning values to it and replacing them. And yeah. Okay, the next function I want to demonstrate here is the array merge function. So we kind of already did this up here when we put these extra games into our video games array up here, but there's another way to combine arrays as well in a simpler way, and that's with the array merge function. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to put result equals array underscore merge. And in this array merge, you could pass as many arrays as you want into here. So my first one, I'll put video games. And then let's create a new array up here. We'll call it additional games. And inside of here, we will put Metroid and World of Warcraft. So I want to combine additional games with video games. I will pass additional games into this array merge function. And I'll get rid of this var dump up here. And var dump result. And this should combine our two arrays into one. And there it is. So result is our new array. And as you can see, World of Warcraft and Metroid were added to the end. Similarly, I can reverse these, so I could put additional games and then video games. And how I put those arrays in there, or pass them rather to that function, is how they'll store via the indexes. So as you can see, index 0 is now Metroid, and number 1 is World of Warcraft, and then our other array was stacked on top. So it goes in like chronological order of how you pass them into array merge. And I could keep the same variable name here as well, So I could do video games equals array merge, and this will basically, at the end result, will override its original purpose and be that new array. So if I do this, and there we go, same thing. And that way you don't have like a bajillion variables, and you can keep the naming conventions clean and everything. Okay, one last and final advanced concept I want to get into today is manipulating the indexes of arrays. So the best way to demonstrate this, I'm going to do video game, not plural this time, so just a single video game equals array. So let's say I wanted to create a video game, and I wanted this variable to store details about a game. So let's say the title. I can make an index here called title, and you could do it with either single or double quotes, it doesn't matter. And we'll call it Kerbal Space Program. Now let's say I wanted to store the rating of that video game. I could do that like this. Video game rating equals everyone. Whatever it is for that game. And last but not least, I'll put a price. So video game price equals, I think that game's around 29 bucks right now. So we'll do that. And var dump video game. So this is another concept to arrays you could do. Instead of having just a typical integer index, you can assign your own custom indexes to these. And if I want to access one of these, I just type the name of that index. So echo video game title. And there it is. If I want to display price, I can change that index to the price. So there it is. This is a little more advanced concept, but as you get into like databases and things, a lot of stuff will be returned like this. It'll have the column name of the database. So this is a good method to get into, and it also functions similar to like how an object would. So yeah, it's good practice and good to memorize how this works, and that it's something you could do with arrays. Alright guys, that's a wrap for our arrays lesson. So I tried to cover a lot of the very essential basics and just how to create them and get values to them and access them. So next time we're going to get into loops, and then that's going to demonstrate further how arrays work and how we can work with the values assigned to them. So anyway, that's it. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment on my video, and check out my other videos as well. And yeah, that's about it. See you next time.